Even though garden can be described as an enclosure, it does not mean the Garden of Eden is a physical garden. It is the region of ethers. Let us take note. Even in the Garden of Eden, humanity had dense body, but it wasn't in the form as it is today. And we were using it from place to place. And there were millions of people then, including you and I. We were there. All human beings of today, and even those yet to be born, were there in the Garden of Eden, in the etheric region. What were the features? In the Garden of Eden, we perceived within ourselves the soul qualities of things that appeared before us. It was like the way things appear when we dream, except that it was real in those days. That is to say, the things we perceived or sensed were not illusionary, as many people have in their dreams. Do you know how animals perceive things? They do not do so like us. Animals do not perceive things like the way we do by reflection on our eyes. But the soul of the things appear to them within. They see it within themselves. So they know for sure the soul quality of the person or the object that appeared, and they react accordingly. So, in the Garden of Eden, we never saw ourselves as separate, but as one family. We had spiritual powers, which we used to advance the cause of nature. We did not use those powers to hurt anyone or anything. Under the direction of the higher beings, our spiritual powers were directed at molding forms, including those of animals and plants. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 19 and 20, we read, "And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field, and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him." Everything we did in the Garden of Eden, in the etheric region, was in conformity with the laws of nature. Indeed, it was a blissful state. In the Garden of Eden, humanity had no knowledge of the external environment. Initially, we even had no physical eyes, but perceived and felt things through the pineal gland which overhung our heads. What we are saying that the initial stages, while we were in the Garden of Eden, we never developed the eye then, but the pineal gland was our instrument to perceive and to sense things. There was no death, sickness, suffering, hunger, or tiredness, because we were highly spiritual and above material difficulties. When the dense body wore out, or let us say, when it dies, we will leave it and step into another which we participated in building. Our consciousness was dim, so harsh methods were used to awaken it. That was done by the beings who were leading us. Our training was to develop the will, and the will is for males, and imagination is for the females. Education was not to teach us about spiritual things, because we know them already. Automatically, naturally, we know them already. But to awaken us to the material world, which we were bound to conquer. We were not supposed to be just in the spiritual world. We were supposed to be conscious of the material world, work and overcome or conquer the material world. We read from Genesis chapter 2, verse 8 to 14. "And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. The name of the first is Pison. That is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good, and there is bdellium and onyx stone. And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia. And the name of the third river is Heindel. That is it which goes towards the east of Assyria, and the fourth river is Euphrates. The river that parted into 4 heads is not physical water, which is a compound of oxygen and hydrogen. That river refers to the etheric region. The etheric region comprises 4 ethers, which are represented by the 4 heads of the river as mentioned in the Bible. It is these 4 ethers that nourish and sustain the dense body, which often people see and hardly realize it is a reflection of the spirit. All dense bodies we see for humanity is but the reflection of the spirit. The ethers are moist or watery, but not as in physical water or river. They flow like a river into and around the body. If we have the eyes, we can see how they flow like a river into the body and around the body too. But because we do not have the eyes, it's difficult for us to appreciate this. That is why water is used for the ethers. The 2 lower ethers are the chemical ether, which is responsible for growth, digestion, and assimilation of food. The life ether is responsible for propagation. The higher ethers are the light ether for circulation and blood heat, and the reflecting ether, which is for memory. We are told, and this is very important, we are told, and the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden. Why east but not west? Every time in the Bible you find a lot of references made to the east. Why east? As we ever said, the spiritual impulse moves at the beginning of every spiral around the sphere or globe from east to west. This rotation is similar to the counterclockwise rotation of the planet on its axis, and similarly refers to the involuntary movement of our spiritual currents, which we ultimately will have to transform. What were the functions in the Garden of Eden? In Genesis chapter 2 verse 15 we read, "And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it." The garden was created after Adam was made. Humanity was given a charge, and that charge is to be industrious and maintain the creation of God, not to destroy it. For us, the charge is for us to play our part in creation, but not to be lazy, leaving our role for God to play. We have a responsibility which we must also discharge. Everything that we see, from plants to animals and human beings, they all have their etheric counterparts which originate the physical. So, as humanity tended the ethers of the plants, it was having a physical effect, providing the greenery and the beauty that adorn the earth. Let us talk about the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all this.